Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to start looking at the Shadows over Innistrad block, and we're going to start by looking at the first set, which is also called Shadows over Innistrad. And we're going to start by looking at Ghostly Tide, which is a white and blue deck, so let's dive in and start looking at that. So, deck list here, we got 20 creatures, 6 instants, 4 sorceries, 5 enchantments, 25 land, mana curve off to the side there. So let's get into it. So, the foil face rare of this one is Drogskull Cavalry. So 5 and 2 white for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever another spirit enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life, and you spend 3 and a white to make a spirit creature token with flying. So yeah, has a little self-built combo with itself, which is perfectly fine. Obviously, you got a lot of spirits in the deck. It is spirit tribal. Weirdly, Shadows over Innistrad is not like a tribal set like the like the original Innistrad was, where it was this very heavy focus on like the 5 main tribes of like humans, werewolves, zombies, vampires, and spirits. Like there is still some of it in Innistrad, but they're not as much, and there's no flashback either, which is a shame. It has its own mechanics that deal with the graveyard. We'll look at those in future decks. But yeah, and then it veers off and it does its own thing completely in the next set, Eldritch Moon. But yeah, for now this is kind of still reminiscent of original Innistrad. I say we've got white blue spirits here, which is pretty classic, and pretty much all spirits have flying, so it's essentially white blue skies deck. But yeah, so yeah, I think Drogskull is pretty fun. Obviously expensive at 7 mana, but like it's 4/4 flyer, can generate spirits, has a pretty good has a life gain effect. It's perfectly fine. I think perfect casual kitchen table rare. So the other rare is Rattle Chains. So 1 blue for a 2/1 with flash and flying, which is actually not terrible. When it enters the battlefield, target spirit gains hexproof until end turn, and you can cast spirit spells that they had flash. So it's actually crabbing quite a lot onto like a 2 mana body. Just having flash and flying. And being a 2/1 for 2 is, I mean, that's okay, obviously, anyway. And then it's essentially a protection ability. Gives something hexproof when it enters the battlefield, so save something from removal. And then going forward, you can cast spirit spells as they had flash, which is all your obviously everything gains massively from being able to be cast at instant speed. So yeah, I think Rattle Chains is actually, of the 2 rares, I think that's actually the better one. Drogskull is like still good, like that makes sense as like the flashy the flashy face rare, but Rattle Chains I think is pulling weight as the kind of like the more valuable like backup rare, honestly. Yeah, so really like both of these actually for the deck. So then we've got 2 Spectral Shepherds, 2 and a white for a 2/2 with flying. You can pay 1 and a blue, return target spirit you control to its owner's hand. So a few of your spirits do have ETB effects, well, like Rattle Chains. That'd be really good to keep retaining that and keep replaying it to essentially counter removal spells. Also, this just can save stuff from removal anyway. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid. And even if you never use that ability, it's like Windrake stats, which is perfectly fine, So yeah, this is pretty good like this. Then we've got 2 Near Heath Chaplain, so 3 and a white for a 3/1 with lifelink. You can spend 2 and a white, exile it from your graveyard, and you make 2 spirit tokens, but only anytime you can cast a sorcery. So there was a thing in original Innistrad, you had like quite a few of these like white human creatures where like if they died, you got like a certain number of spirits, like Doomed Traveler, I think is like like the most iconic one. But there are a few others like Mausoleum Guard and Elgord Inquisitor, I think, like cards like that. These ones, you got to put maybe a bit more mana into it, I suppose. Like so, yeah, they gotta wait for them to hit the graveyard and then essentially exhume them to turn them into spirits. But yeah, I think this is fine. I mean, it's a 3/1 with lifelink for 4, which is like a little overcosted, maybe. But the fact it can turn into 2 spirits later is, I think, pretty solid. So yeah, I think this is okay. And then 2 Dauntless Cathar, 2 and a white for a 3/2. Same, when it's in the graveyard, you can pay some mana, exile it, and then you make a spirit token. So yeah, actually getting quite a lot of value out of this, because like a 3/2 for 3 is okay, and then being able to turn to a spirit later on is also pretty solid. So yeah, I actually quite like this. It makes more sense to me as well than the previous Innistrad ones, where you got the spirit like immediately when they died. I suppose that works in terms of flavor as well. I mean, that's the thing about Innistrad. I always like how flavorful the cards feel, I suppose. We've got 2 Apothecary Geist, 3 and a white for a 2/3 flyer. When it ends the battlefield, if you control another spirit, you almost certainly will. You gain 3 life. Yep, that's fine. Like 4 mana for a 2/3 flyer that gets you some life. That's okay. Yeah, sure. 2 Emissary of the Sleepless, 4 and a white for a 2/4 flyer. When it ends the battlefield, if a creature died this turn, you make a 1/1 spirit token. So yeah, potentially making an extra token is good. Apart from that, 2/4 flyer, fine. 2 Niblis of Dusk, 2 and a blue for a 2/1 with flying and prowess. So yeah, prowess is still sticking around, and it's on a cheapish evasive body, which is basically the perfect combination for it. You have a pretty decent number of non-creature spells in the deck. You had some instant sorceries, you had some enchantments. So yeah, I think this is fairly solid. Yeah. A single Silent Observer, 3 and a blue, just for a 1/5 flyer. So yeah, just obviously quite defensive, but yeah, just good. Just solid. 2 Storm Rider Spirits, 4 and a blue for 3/3 with flash and flying. Yeah, also very solid. Not much to complain. Having flash is actually quite nice because it's a decent size to have flash as well, so it'd be a really nice kind of surprise blocker. Yeah, so that's okay. And then a single Reckless Scholar, 2 and a blue for a 2/1. Tap to make a player draw a card, then discard a card. So yeah, obviously you mostly want to do this on yourself to like get a loot effect. But if you ever need to, you can make someone draw and then discard if you want to do that to someone else for some reason. Yeah, you may be playing a team game or something. So just having the extra flexibility is nice. I used to have a there was a card like this in original Ravnica, which I used to, because I used to run like a Megrim deck or like Liliana's Caress, does damage whenever someone discards or something. So this would be guaranteed they would not run out of cards in their hand to discard. So there you go. But yeah, obviously in this you want to do it on yourself mostly to loot and get your effects, and also you've got your those white human creatures, which you may want to discard them, so then the graveyard scene turn into spirits. So there you go. And then randomly, just 2 Seagraph Scab, just randomly, just 2 mana for 1/3. Just randomly, just sure, we'll just have 2 zombies here. Like, why? There were definitely there were enough spirits to use to make this more on theme. But sure, we'll just throw in 2 Seagraph Scabs. Sure. So non-creature spells. So 2 Not Forgottens. This I think is actually quite nice. I quite like this. So 1 and a white. You put any card from a graveyard on top or bottom of its owner's library. So this has a really nice use to it. You can obviously do it to yourself to get something back on top of your library, and then you draw it next turn. Or you can, because obviously it's Innistrad, it's a block that cares about the graveyard, and take something out of an opponent's graveyard, put it on the bottom of their library, and that's not in their graveyard anymore. They can't use it for if they were going to reanimate it, or let's say Flashback's not in the set, unfortunately. But there is that option. There's still obviously still want to mill things and get things out that way. Use the graveyard as a resource. So really nice function is, and it's not limited by what type of card it can get as well. So this is actually one of the rare white cards that can get instants and sorceries back, which is actually pretty good. And also on top of that, and then it makes a spirit token as well. So this has got I think it's a really good card for 2 mana. I think it's really solid. I really like this. And then 2 Vessel of Ephemera, 1 and a white. It's an enchantment, and it just hangs around until you spend 2 and a white and sacrifice it, and you make 2 spirit tokens. Yep, absolutely fine. Just a very delayed way of getting some spirit tokens out, but yeah, sure, it's fine. 2 Puncturing Light, 1 and a white. Destroy target attacking or blocking creature with power 3 or less. Yep, just a Divine Verdict variant that we see these quite a lot. It's half the price, but is only going to hit half the stuff. But it's fine. It's cool. Hits small evasive creatures. Yeah, I like it. A single Silver Strike, 3 and a white. Destroy target attacking creature and you gain 3 life. Yep, this is again fine. Just kill an attacking creature and get a bit of life. That's I think perfectly fine for 4 mana. And then 2 Bound by Moonsilver, 2 and a white. So this is the blocks Arrest variant essentially. So enchanted creature can't attack, block, or transform. That doesn't matter if you're playing these precons against each other anyway, because these precons at the time never contain dual face cards, so transforming is never going to be an issue anyway. But it is a nice thematic thing to whack on werewolves so they can't transform. And then sacrifice another permanent, attach Bound by Moonsilver to target creature, activate this ability any time you could cast a sorcery only once each turn. So it's nice if you do need to move it around, you can by sacrificing I don't know, one of your tokens or something. So yeah, it doesn't stop abilities being activated. You're paying the extra mana to I guess for the flexibility to be able to move it around and also stop transformation, which I say is not an issue in these precons, but yeah, always important to remember because it's a card to bear in mind because there's more and more transforming cards these days. And then a single Chaplain's Blessing, like basically the most straightforward card. You'd have 1 white mana to gain 5 life. I think is this at the rate where like a card that just does life gain is efficient, like 1 white mana for 5 life. Is that a point where like just pure life gain is worth it? Don't know. Probably still needs like a card draw on it, but like obviously not for 1 white mana. That'd be insane. And it is just life gain, isn't it? A single catalogue, 2 and a blue, draw 2 cards and then discard a card. This being at instant speed, I think is okay. Yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. Bit of card draw, it's alright. A single deny existence, 2 and a blue, counter-type creature spell. If that spell is countered this way, it gets exiled instead. Yep, this is okay. Just a straightforward counter spell. A single Essence Flux, 1 blue mana, exile type creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under control. If it's a spirit, put a +1/+1 counter it. So, yep. Always like it when white-blue get these kind of like flicker effects. Goes well. So you do have a few spirits that have ETB effects, and obviously this is meant to combo with spirits because it also then gives them counters if you flickered one of them. So yeah, I think this is really nice for 1 blue mana. Actually, I think it's really nice. Like the spirit bonuses. I mean, that is just an upside. Being able to flicker just something just for 1 blue is really nice. Is it flicker or is it blink? Can't remember which way it is. Flicker is when it comes back straight away. Blink is end of turn to use magic parlance properly. A single pour over the pages. Get you seeing this. I think it shows in pretty much every Innistrad deck that uses blue. So 3 and double blue. You draw 3 cards, untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. So that's fairly solid. Potentially untapping some lands to then play one of the cards you just drew. Maybe that's a possibility. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid draw spell. A single sleep paralysis, 3 and a blue. Aura goes on a creature when it enters the battlefield. Tap enchant a creature, and it doesn't untap during its control's untap step. Yep, seen this kind of thing million times before. Like one of the classic like blue kind of tap down, lockdown auras. Yep, it's fine. Kind of soft removal. Oh, and then 13 planes and 12 islands. So let's look at what could have been. So I'm really annoyed by that scab being in here. Like, there's definitely some spirits you could have included instead. But I was thinking maybe Ethereal Guidance as just a combat trick. So this is actually fairly cheap, like 2 and a white to give you a whole board, like +2/+1 till end of turn. You've got a bunch of flyers. So you've got a whole load of evasive creatures anyway, and like a lot of tokens. Ethereal Guidance, I think, would work pretty well just to buff them up, and then you swing in the air. Maybe. And then alternate rares. I like I say, I do actually like both the rares in here, but like, just as I say, we always like doing this kind of exercise, and just talk about extra cards as well. So Always Watching is 1 and double white for an enchantment. It's basically like a Anthem effect, but only for non-token creatures, but as a payoff for not affecting token creatures, you give vigilance as well, which is pretty good. Not sure it maybe fit too well in here, just because like there is like quite a high reliance on like making spirit tokens, so maybe that wouldn't feel so good, like that your big fancy Anthem doesn't affect like half the creature you got out or whatever. But I just want to talk about it because I think it's pretty good. It's there's like in one of the Modern Horizon sets, I think there's a creature that references this, I think Thraben Watcher, and it's insane because it's this exact card. I think it's like maybe 1 or 2 extra mana, but it's this effect, and it's also like a 3/3 flyer or something as well. It's like insanely pushed. Yeah. And then this is one of my favorite cards, Eerie Interlude. So it's like a mass flicker effect. No, it's a blink because it's end of turn. That's it. So it's 2 and a white, and you exile any number of target creatures you control, and then they blink back in at the beginning of the next end step. So again, just use like all those spirit ETB effects, which would go well with like Drogskull, because like whenever you get spirits come in, you get some life for that. Or just like save them from combat. Yeah, I think it's a pretty fun card. Again, maybe not a super great fit in here because you do have some ETB effects, but not like a huge number of them. But this is a great card. I love this. So yeah, overall I think like it's pretty solid. It's a white blue deck I don't immediately hate, which does say something. That is a nod in its favour. Yeah, I just think it's fairly solid. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's still like blue white skies, isn't it? With like some soft control options, so it is, it's not doing anything too amazing, but like it has a nice few kind of gimmicks to make it stand out, I suppose. Yeah, I think this is just a really solid start to looking at Shadows over Innistrad. But yeah, if you've got any thoughts, or stories, or comments about this deck or any of the cards in it, stick a comment below. I'll give those a read. But I'll be back next time, going to look at another Shadows over Innistrad intro pack. So until then, thanks for watching, listening, and have a great day.